Hi guys. Welcome back to these little between the episodes. I don't really know what to call them. I don't know. They're not really a series, but like it's in a playlist called Between the Episodes. Maybe I should come up with a name. Because I also don't do the greeting, like the whole hardback life greeting, because it's only two. These are like I said, exclusive to YouTube, just little extra ones to keep our page a little more active and provide some like shorter content. Because sometimes our podcast episodes go long. Like last week's was an hour and a half, and that was after editing and that was almost 2 hours. So that one was long. So we wanted to give some like smaller doses of us. However, I am worried because I do solo episodes. And now this is my second like in between the episodes. Y'all might be getting tired of me. I don't know. We might be over me. We might need to switch Becca in for a little bit. But she's still in Disney. So sorry, you're stuck with me again. I wanted to do something fun. I wanted to do like book or trope or genre recommendations based on music. So based on like a certain artist or some are like they're not song specific. I would still say the artist, but the reason I think of it is because of a certain song, if that makes sense. So yeah, I don't know. Don't come at me for my choices, guys. I don't really stay super up to date with all of the music. I'm getting so old. Oh no, that sounds so old. I don't really stay up to date. I listen to a lot of older stuff, some new stuff that's crept in. You'll hear it, like Alex Warren has crept into my listening. But I do a lot of, like, older like, my middle school music, or, like, my husband's a big music guy, so I'll listen to music with him. Right now, we're on a Ween kick. I don't know if anybody knows them. So, yeah, don't come at me for my choices here, guys. I've tried to pick ones that are more maybe mainstream or more popular, so that at least other people can relate to them. But I really don't do a good job at staying up to date with music. I love music. It's always been a big part of my life. I just stick to what I like, I guess. I'm sorry if some of these seem outdated. Okay, so the first one, and this one feels a little on the nose, but it's okay. They're not also on the nose. If you like Eminem, then my suggestion for you is nonfiction. I would go nonfiction, like an underdog story or hard beginnings into a success story. And like I said, that's kind of on the nose because that is what Eminem is. He was an underdog story. So they're not all like that, but that would be my first recommendation. And I love Eminem. He's one I have followed almost my whole life. Like I've really stayed up to date with him. Let's see. I'm trying to also, I didn't really write these down in any order. So I'm just trying to see which ones. Okay. A new one for me. Bad Bunny. I have not really listened to much of his stuff other than I really enjoyed him on the Super Bowl. And it's made me want to look into more of his music. However, I really only know the one song, and I'm gonna say it wrong. I know I'm gonna say it wrong. I'm sorry in advance to any Spanish speaking listeners that we have because I don't speak Spanish. Titi me pregunto. Is that close enough? I don't know. I'm so sorry to all our Spanish speaking listeners. If you can speak Spanish or even understand it, that wasn't good at all. And I'm so sorry. But I'm kind of basing this off of that song. And this one is a trope. So if you're for romance, specifically trope, I would do like the playboy settles down kind of trope or the millionaire settles down, like something where, they've been a player and they finally meet that one person. So that's kind of what I was thinking of. Some of these are just vibes. I mean, I know that song is literally about his aunt asking about all his girlfriends. So that's kind of why I went with that one. But there's no there's no science behind these. It's just what I feel when I was thinking of my list. I do have a funny one at the end. It's a hear me out one, so stay tuned for that because I think you're really gonna have to like bear with me on that and hear my reasoning. I was gonna do Frank Sinatra because I love Frank Sinatra. He's one of my favorite artists. I didn't know if he was super relatable anymore. If people would hear his name and be like, yeah, you know? So I crossed him out and I did Meghan Trainor. Not that they're the same vibes, but they are my same recommendation, same genre. And they would just be romance. Any contemporary romance, not dark romance, just contemporary romance for Meghan Trainor. She's one I've enjoyed throughout the years. So I say this with not negative intent, but she's a little basic, I enjoy her music. I think it's fun, but it's a little basic and that's okay. Still enjoyable. And sometimes that's how I feel about romance. You read one romance, you've read them all. Once you hear one Meghan Trainor song, you've kind of heard them all. And I mean that I read romance. Like I'm not saying anything bad about it. I listen to, some Meghan Trainor. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just saying that was like the mindset for that. Next I have, again, based off one song, because that's all I know by her, Paris Paloma? Paloma? Paris Paloma, maybe? Based specifically on her song Labor, because that's really all I know by her. I would say like a feminist dystopian. So something like Handmaid's Tale or Manacled / Alchemist? Is that what the published version is called? Feminist dystopian. That's what I would give that. I mean, I love that song Labor. I feel like it's the soundtrack to books like that. So when I read Manacled, I heard that song over and over in my head. So I think, again, that's a little bit on the nose. But yeah, I think that one's good. Another one to go with dystopian, but more like Hunger Games kind of dystopian, would be Green Day. Specifically, like, I think of American Idiot and how they've kind of always not stood against, but like called out, I guess, government when there's been issues or disagreed. I don't know. But yeah, I think of Green Day as dystopian, like Hunger Games was a big one that came into my mind. Don't want to be an American idiot. They could be like, don't want to be a capital idiot, just saying Green Day. You really could get specific and get into some book soundtracks there. Next, I have 2 recommendations for Romantasy, but I do have specific series in mind for each. So Alex Warren, I've told you, he's like one of the contemporary popular ones that I really, really enjoy. Still trying to get him on here. I would say specifically Fourth Wing for him, though. I feel like Ordinary very much is Violet and Xaden, and I love it. I love it. He was the soundtrack of book talk for a long time there, specifically fantasy book talk. So I think Alex Warren, Romantasy, but if you want to be really specific, Fourth Wing. And then the other one that I have for Romantasy is Benson Boone. And I specifically say this one because his song Mystical Magical is what I picture in my head when Rhys in ACOTAR, so ACOTAR for him, by the way, what I specifically picture in my head when Rhys is playing the music into Feyre's jail cell under the mountain. That's the song I hear because he's like trying to like subliminally message about himself to her, so that she picks it up. So I very specifically picture that song being played into Feyre's cell. So I would say Benson Boone, if you're into him, Romantasy, specifically ACOTAR. Now, my last one is a very much hear me out, and I have a whole explanation for it. So hear me out. If you're a Broadway person, show tune, soundtracks, whatever, hear me out. Dark romance. Now, I know that might not seem like they go hand in hand, but here's my thing. In the last couple years, it's become known that readers read a lot of smut. It's become a thing, right? That readers read a lot of smut. So the joke is kind of, if you're looking for a freak, don't go anywhere but the library, right? They're the ones reading the dirtiest stuff. And for some reason in my brain, that means like show tunes. Like they come off innocent, just like these people reading. They come off really innocent, but they're into some dark shit, if that makes sense. I don't know if you could follow that train of thought or if it's just my meds starting to wear off at the end of the day. But you have to look in the library for people reading smut, quote unquote, freaky, sexually freaky people. I don't know. I don't like saying that, but then I just feel like that's the same kind of vibes as like you should look for people who listen to show tunes. Like they might seem innocent. You might seem innocent reading a book, but like what is between those pages, Same kind of vibe is what I'm getting from those. But this was kind of fun to like figure out some that went hand in hand. Some, like I said, were on the nose. Eminem with the nonfiction underdog story, like that was on the nose. Even Alex Warren, like he was the voice of Romantasy book talk for a while. So I feel like even that one's a little bit like, of course, Paris Paloma. Again, I feel like the feminist dystopian for her is kind of on point. Again, I'm looking at my list and I see Bad Bunny written and I so thoroughly apologize for how I said that. But I say it with like a lot of love. I love that song. I've grown in appreciation for Bad Bunny. Not that I didn't like him before. I just never listened to him, honestly. And then I really enjoyed his Super Bowl and his message. So I've been looking into him more, but I'm trying really hard. I can't even say the names in a Romantasy book. So it's not like I had a lot of hope for myself saying that title, but I tried. At least we can say I tried. I would love to know if you agreed with any of these. Like if you really like Benson Boone, if his whole catalog fits Romantasy because, again, I don't know all their songs. Or for him specifically, I picked one song. Or like Meghan Trainor. Do you agree with just like contemporary romance? Should I have gone to something deeper than that? Or if you've read these and get the same kind of vibes as me, let me know. I would be really interested. I would love to have a conversation about this. This was fun. So I hope that you enjoyed this. Hopefully we'll see you for our next episode soon. If you liked this, please like, subscribe, share, all of that good stuff. Leave a comment. I'm really trying to get better about saying that in our episodes. But that's all I got, guys. So I will see you soon. Bye.